Welcome to the Running with James podcast. We are committed to helping runners, OCR athletes, and the everyday person get involved, get connected, and get committed to becoming the best versions of themselves. Remember, when you change your mind, you change your life. Now here's your host, James Wyatt.
And welcome back to another edition of Running with James. I'm your host, James Wyatt, and we are one co-host short today. Coach Lauren is out. She is sick, but thankfully, Coach Carlos is in the building.
Hello. 100% germ-free as well.
Yes. I told that chick, get out of here yesterday. She was like, she was asking me for my phone for some videos or something, and I was like, what did you say? Because she's like, I need your phone. I need a phone for some video.
You didn't give it to her, did you?
I did.
Oh.
And then I didn't even think about it, right? I just gave it to her. I was like, here you go, because I was working on something. And then as I was thinking about it, I was like, oh my God, I don't want that phone back now.
I know, burn it.
So, yeah, I went and got those disinfectant Clorox wipes, brought it back over, wiped the phone off, and I was like, are you really that sick? Oh, well, yeah, it was pathetic. It was I feel bad for her. I was like, why don't you go home? You're probably better off going home. I don't want to get sick. I got a race this weekend. Got that HYROX Atlanta.
HYROX Atlanta.
I mean, she's racing it too, maybe.
Hopefully, she better.
I think she
take
will.
Those meds.
Yeah, I think she went to go to the Optimal today. Optimal Family.
Shot?
I don't know if she got a shot or if she just got the Z-Pack.
Oh, yeah.
So, but she reminds me a little bit of my wife in that. Like, my wife will like suffer for 2 weeks, and then like I'll be like, hey, why don't you go get something for that? And then finally she'll go and get it when she's been like dying.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, my wife's the opposite.
Oh, the moment.
Yeah, she's a doctor for anything.
Really?
Yeah, she's ready to go.
I mean, that's smart. She doesn't have to suffer, right?
Absolutely.
Lauren likes to go like 2 or 3 months with that laryngitis. Yeah, my wife was like, is laryngitis back? And I was like, no, she doesn't like that. And then we're not calling her that anymore.
No, not calling that. But, her cats are healthy.
Yeah. That's the good thing.
Maybe not as healthy, but her cats.
But she's going to take care of those cats. So I was worried about them the other day because she came in and she had to do some appointments for them. So she spent the whole day working on them cats. The whole day. But then today or yesterday, she couldn't take care of herself. Isn't that so tough? What's important? Animals.
Yep.
Animals, not your own personal health.
No, like they said, like in an airplane, put that mask on you first before you help someone else.
That's right. So you gotta get that Z-Pack before you take care of and give your spade and neuter your animals. I don't know.
Bob Barker.
Yeah, exactly. That's all I can think of. So, but Lauren, hopefully she'll be back next week. We know that for sure. But God willing that the sun rises. But so she's gone today. So it's just gonna be us dudes. I don't know if they can handle that kind of heat though.
Ooh, it's very like two bros.
Yeah,
just like the have to go back to the Predator.
We might have
shake.
some. I'm sure we will.
Yeah, just flexing, just a bro shake.
Yeah, As I say in our core classes, when we have more than 4 guys in the room, we got a high T level right now.
Yeah,
high T, because usually we have a low T because it's usually me and like Andre.
Yeah, no, it's low T.
So the testosterone levels are pretty low.
Very low.
So, but you know what I notice about that, and I'm sure I'm going to get in trouble for this, but when we have a minimum of like 5 guys and the testosterone levels are a little higher, the ladies are not nearly as sassy and loud. But when Andre's there by himself or it's just me,
oh yeah,
it's like they smell blood in the water.
I know.
They come for the jugular.
I deal with that with my small group training.
Oh yeah, because you're mainly ladies too, huh?
Yeah, it's all ladies. Those white SUVs pull up. It's just
it's like a club.
It's like it's like a gang. Let's not say club. It is a gang. It is. I'm usually in the bathroom, little water on my face, and just like show no fear.
That's right. You can't.
Show no fear.
You can't. You spraying like that, like Axe or something on you to hide the scent of fear.
Yeah,
because they can smell it.
Yeah, 100%. And I just hear those cars rolling up, and I hear Flo's daughter Chloe rolling up in her little tricycle. It's like Debo. Just roll.
It's like a scary movie.
Yeah, it's just coming up like that bike, just squeaking, just rolling on up. Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah,
nice. So, are you excited about Atlanta?
Very.
Yeah,
very much so.
Yeah,
it's a hard training block was put in.
Yes, I agree.
I kind of hit that deload week and this taper week. It was well needed.
Yeah.
So, definitely excited. It's last chance to try to qualify for Worlds.
Yes, it is.
So it's throwing it all out there.
Yeah. So you're doing double duty, right?
Double duty, going men's solo on Saturday, and then running mixed doubles with my client friend Flo.
Nice.
And we'll be in the same heat as you and your lovely bride.
You will be, actually.
Yeah,
we saw that today.
So it's going to be.
So it's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun. So just so you know, we're not racing.
Absolutely not.
My wife, if I will say this, if we get to like say the lunges and we're close to each other, that may change.
No,
I was just letting you know.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much gas can be in the tank. This is the double duty.
I know, because I will be raced the day before too.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. I mean, just because Tommy did it doesn't mean I'm going to just go fly through. Tommy's a whole nother.
Tommy does it. Everybody thinks they can do it too, right?
So I'm just, I have a strategy in place of how I'm going to run it, and I was like, I should be all right at that pace, but I could be gassed out.
That's right.
So you never know. So, but it's going to be fun.
But we're trying to do double duty. He did triple duty. Remember?
Yeah,
because he did the relay as well. So
yeah,
so we're not trying to live up to his level of expectation.
It is not the Tommy trifecta.
No, it's not. Because he ran fast every one.
It's just two pieces of the little metal there.
Yes,
like the little Spartan trifecta.
You don't get a trifecta.
No, it's not. It's not Tommy trifecta weekend.
Nice.
So.
Maybe we should just pace each other and just all run as a group. Like all four of us just run together and just stay together and like laugh and high five and dance. Doesn't that sound like fun?
It kind of does.
Yeah, we could do that. We could do that. And then the moment somebody smells weakness,
it's gone.
Gone.
Yeah. Well, you already know how I'm racing with Flo. She's got one speed.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's true. So my wife and I, we have to talk what we're gonna do. I tried to get her to come on today so we could talk a little bit about it, but she wasn't feeling that.
You didn't want to do the race
well,
strategy?
I think the thing is she's scared that if she comes on, she's going to be so popular, people are going to want her to keep coming on, and she'll have to be like an added fixture, and it's just one more thing she has to do. So she's just worried about the fame.
It's not about that spotlight.
No, she doesn't want the spotlight on her, and she knows that she's so awesome that's what happened.
It happens.
It become running with Lily. That's how it would be. Running with Big Lily.
Just take over.
That's right. Just James crossed out.
I mean, she is on the intro.
She is. Yeah, that's true. If you hear that lovely voice that intros our episode every week, that is my wife, Leah. So I told her when she was recording, when we first we were doing it, I was like, hey, I need you to record this for me. And so when she was doing it, she thought she was being funny because there's a part where she goes, James Wyatt. And I was like, keeping it. She's like, no. And I was like, yeah, you shouldn't have done that. You messed up now, playa. For life. That's how it's going to be.
Nice.
So, but yeah, I'm excited about Atlanta. We actually have a pretty decent crew going, right?
Yeah. We have Joe.
Yeah.
Joyce.
Yep.
Doing solo. Thomas.
Yep.
Bachetta Mike.
Bachetta Mike.
Them hips
just
moving out there.
Just wiggling out there all over that course.
You.
Me.
And,
Leah.
Larry.
And Larry,
Don't forget Larry. Running. Yeah,
he's double dutying it too.
Yeah, Larry's double dutying it. He's doing pro doubles on Saturday and then solo on Sunday.
Yeah.
So he'll be out there.
Courtney, she's racing too.
Oh, Courtney is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I just found that out like last week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Luce.
And her boyfriend.
Yep.
Right? So that's like 10 people.
Yeah.
At least, right?
Yeah.
So that's pretty good for Hot Atlanta.
Not
too bad.
Sweat House.
For his Sweat House is exactly what's going to be. So, but I think that's is that a company or something? I'm assuming they're sponsoring it.
I think it's like a gym kind of deal.
Okay.
From what I've seen, they're doing like a Sweat House ice plunge on Friday.
Okay.
So you can do that. And,
gotcha.
A few other things I saw. So
okay.
From what I can tell, I think it's like a gym down there.
Gotcha. Well, if you happen to be in Atlanta, if you're racing, come. If you see us, say what's up. Come take a picture with us. We'd love to hang out with you and see how you do. If you're not racing and you just happen to be there, say hello. Let us take a picture with you, and then we can be famous because of your Instagram, so we can get more out there because that's what we need. We need more exposure, always.
Networking
is what
all about networking.
That's it. And I'm not very good at it. I suck at networking. Like, I don't know. Like, when I meet a group of people, like, I just want to kind of stay back. I'm great if I know you and, like, talking and hanging out. And if I have to, like, if I'm leading something, but, like, when it's, like, comes to, like, the networking and schmoozing, I suck at it.
I've had to work on it.
Yeah, I'm so bad at it.
I've had to work on it.
Yeah.
That was when I became a trainer. I was like, it's one thing I
have to do.
Because same thing, I'm more of kind of, let me get to know you, just a little bit more kind of to myself. But then I was like, as I became a trainer, I was like, you cannot
afford to do that.
You can't afford to do that. As a trainer, you better be out in front. And
yep. So I don't know, man. I know some people who are like, they're so great at it. Like, they're great at the whole networking and schmoozing, but that's it. to like the follow up and the following through stuff, like they are not great at that. And if I could have their ability to just connect with people immediately and like become best friends, like, oh my God, unstoppable force of nature.
That's it.
Because I'm pretty good at the follow up part and like following through and consistency. So, but I need to maybe take a course or something. Like, I don't know. I read a book one time. What was it called? Like how to make friends and influence people or something like that. I think that's what it was called. I think that's what it was. And it didn't help me.
No.
Not even a little bit. I was like, I do all that stuff. Not really.
We see all those, people on Instagram selling those courses.
Yeah, I know. Maybe that's what I need to do is sell a course on how to network, and then I'll automatically be better.
Absolutely. Sell a course in networking to network.
Makes you a pro. Actually, speaking of that, just like, you know how Instagram is, man. It's just like a nonstop, like reel of talking heads that know so much and are so smart and so like knowledgeable, and they don't know anything. It just it's so frustrating to me. But I saw something the other day. Maybe it was yesterday. I think it was yesterday. And it was, this guy, and he was talking about, fitness, and he was talking about how he was specifically talking about HYROX actually. And he wasn't a HYROX guy or a CrossFit guy. He was like a lifter or something.
Okay.
And he was talking about, like, he said, HYROX does not build strength. He was like, HYROX is an endurance sport that builds endurance and works your cardiovascular system, which there is truth to that. And he's like, but if you want to get strong and you want to lift weights and if you want to like be able to lift heavier weights and build muscle, then HYROX is not something you want to do. And I was like, well, that's not actually true. I mean, I think I understand what he was saying to an extent, but I think one of the things that like I don't understand is when people, they take these stands on stuff that they know nothing about, that they've never participated in, they've never done the training, they've never done the event before, and they're looking at something from the outside in because I feel it's because they're threatened, like it's threatening like the success of what they're doing, and they're trying to like throw people off. Yeah,
it's like it's becoming so popular now. People are getting threatened.
Yeah,
and like you said, I think there's some truth to. I mean, if you want to be a big bodybuilder, muscle guy, maybe HYROX probably isn't your thing.
No.
You don't want to be that way, but you can, in a safe way, still do the cardio if done right, all the 80-20 principles and stuff like that. And still, build, a pound or two of muscle per month, natural way. You can progress like that.
Right.
You're just not, with all the modalities of, running, skiing, I guess it is hard to just do straight lifting.
Yeah.
To get stronger in deadlifts. So, but just to say flat out you're not going to get stronger is kind of...
Yeah, and then I guess maybe it depends on your definition of strong too.
Yeah.
Right? So, I don't know, I just go back to thinking about like Jessica, right? So I was talking to her yesterday. She came in, so she finished the Boston Marathon, right? Way to go.
Clapping.
Nice job.
Awesome job. Was that her PR? Was that her marathon PR or her Boston PR?
That was her Boston PR.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very
so
nice.
last year she did like a 3:26, 3:27, something like that.
Okay.
So she took like 12 minutes off because she ended up running that 3:15, and it was exactly 3:15.
Nice.
Like she nailed it. She crushed it. It was so awesome watching her run. I was following her. Larry and I both were following her, and we're kind of like, it was like watching the show because we were like texting each other back and forth, and she stuck to the plan like a boss, and you could see. Where she hit the hill, she stuck to the plan. She didn't like fight the hill. And then you can see at the end, she sped up like she was supposed to. Like she crushed it, man. She did it like right on the money. It was like 3:15:22 or something.
As a coach, was a little tear running down your eye.
A little bit, yeah.
When they follow that plan to
a little
T,
bit.
it was
It
just
does.
like, wow.
It's cool when you do it and it like works, right?
Yes.
So somebody was actually telling me, he's like, yeah, man, I was listening to the podcast and, Jessica said she was going to do this and then she did it. It was awesome, man. I was like, I love that. And I was like, yeah, man, that's what happens when you're consistent, you train, right? And you're not surprised when you get there because this is what you've been training for. And so she and I were talking about it, and she was talking about how much better she felt this year than she felt last year, how much stronger she felt. And at no point did she ever feel like out of control or like, I mean, it's a tough course. It's a really tough course, but she never felt like it was going to beat her.
Where does that hill hit?
So, I mean, it's pretty hilly actually the entire time, but It's kind of deceptive because from like mile 1 to like mile 13 or 14, it's downhill. for the most of its part.
Okay.
I mean, there are like some rolling hills in there, but most of it's downhill. So it kind of can throw you off because that's the easy part of the race.
You're just starting to
right? So you're feeling like you got it. And then the hills really start to kick in. And then they have Heartbreak Hill, which is like mile 17, 18, 19, somewhere in there, 20. And then once you hit mile 21, it starts to go back downhill again.
Okay.
Right. So, you know, literally the hardest part of the race is the hardest part of the race.
Yeah.
You know, so that distance is where it really like rubber meets the road. And then you have to climb this freaking stupid hill. Right. So, you know, that's one of the things she says, like she was so much stronger. She felt so much more consistent. And the thing she was a little concerned about was that we only did like a real consistent, like when I say consistent, we did basically one training block that was focused on this marathon.
Okay.
Right. So, because she'd been training for HYROX.
Yeah.
Right now, her volume was up because we've been preparing to switch over. So we wanted to make sure her volume was where it needed to be, her long run and everything. But all of her real like hard workouts and efforts were focused around preparing for HYROX. So once she raced HYROX, well, then it switched, and for a training block, and then she had her taper. Right. So the last 7 weeks, it was focused on nothing but the marathon.
Yeah.
So her workouts change quite a bit, right? So that's periodization training, right? That's specificity in your training. And so I think that's the cool thing about what we're doing, or what we do and how we train, is that, you know, you keep a base, right? You have maybe something you're working toward, and as you're shifting, you know, your training will shift based on what it is your next focus is. And you may have a big A goal, so everything kind of is guiding you toward that, but you know, how you break up those workouts and everything may change just a little bit based on the focus of, you know, the imminent focus.
So, I mean, kind of like the training, you're almost in a ready state.
Yeah.
Like you're not having to just exactly like you said, start from scratch this next training block, and
Right.
just kind of, you have a base, just, you know, example, 20 miles.
Yeah.
You can, you know, add up to it, you know, if you're going to a half marathon, or, you know, maybe just start adding some more speed work if you're doing a 5K or, you know, some other race. So yeah,
Right.
It's just nice to have that, you know, training base consistency.
Right. So, and that's what we were talking about was, I was like, so yeah, you're right. I was like, we did only technically have like a 7 week like block where you're just focused on this one race. I was like, and look at that, you got like a 12-minute PR from the year before on this race, right? I was like, but realistically, you're training better and harder than you were last year at this time. So we looked at her mileage, and she ran significantly more mileage this time around than she did last year.
Okay.
And then like leading up to Boston, and she got up to, I think, 65 or so miles this time around.
Wow.
As her peak week, where last year she only got to like maybe 55-ish, right? Okay. Which is still a lot, but in comparison, that's a big difference, right? And so, you know, she did more hill work. Obviously, she's been doing HYROX, so she put on some strength. And, you know, she told me, and I think she waited to tell me this, but she said she always kind of in the back of her mind was a little concerned because someone had told her that she was probably going to sacrifice a lot of her speed because of the HYROX training. Yeah. And I asked her who it was. She wouldn't tell me who said that. I was like, but no.
I guarantee it's someone who doesn't know strength work.
Maybe. I don't know. Or maybe running as much. I don't know. So, but I do know this. They were not correct. Nope. Because she's 100% faster than she was last year. Like not even just her long distance speed, but even her short stuff. So what's crazy, I look at her, like her overall stuff for the past, we'll say the last 12 months. She's gotten a marathon PR. She's gotten a half marathon PR. She's obviously ran HYROX, right? She got second place, barely missed first, and a HYROX World Championship berth by 30 seconds, 20 seconds, something like that. All of that in the span of 12 months. So if you're going to sacrifice your speed because you built on this strength, then I don't know where she sacrificed the speed. I don't know.
Yeah, she's consistent.
Yeah, I think that's it. So when people say things like that, I don't know, it gets me so not frustrated, but just like, I'm just like, no, you obviously don't know how the human body works.
Yeah.
You don't know, and maybe you're not super adept at sports physiology. You're just adept at like that one thing you're doing and how to, like I saw a guy the other day, he was talking about like bicep curls. He's like, if you want to get the peak, you're going to do this, right? And then you're going to do this. And that really going to help with the fullness of the bicep. Like he wasn't talking about like any individual muscle groups, right? Or how the bicep breaks up, the bronchialis, and none of that stuff. He was just like fullness bicep, peak bicep. And maybe he was just doing that because it was layman terms.
Yeah.
But I don't think so.
No, it's just everyone's an expert.
Everyone's an expert. Everyone's an expert. So today, guys, we actually are experts because today we're going to talk about training in the heat and the benefit of training in the summer heat. And here's how I know we're experts. We live in Houston, Texas.
Absolutely.
And that's all we train in. It feels like sometimes like 90% of the time.
A sweltering oven.
A sweltering oven. I was thinking the other day, well, I think the last like Sunday workout we did, people were just like, oh my God, it was so hard. It was so hard. And I don't know if the workout was that much harder or it was just we had a hot day that day.
I think a little bit of both.
Okay.
I think a little bit it was hotter.
Yeah.
We were running in the parking lot, not the track. And you decided to try to murder us with burpees.
Nobody tried to murder you. It wasn't even that many burpees.
100 meters of burpees.
I mean, that's the norm. It's not the first time we've done 800 meters of burpees before.
Correct, but in this training block it was
4 weeks. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm just letting you know. The people have been talking. I'm just saying.
So they feel like it was the burpees then, huh?
That's just my. No, I didn't say. It's a lot of factors.
Okay, so many things.
A lot of ins and outs.
I thought it was the heat. That's what I feel like.
Okay. It could be because the kettlebell carries felt heavy.
Because I felt like everything inside was easy and the stuff outside was tough. Because we had the AC on the inside.
I didn't mind the lunges.
Yeah, the lunges, yeah.
They felt fine.
Yeah.
Just the kettlebell carries, that just felt long.
The kettlebell carries did feel long.
Yeah, no, that was a good way to end the training block.
Yeah, I think so. Just to break your own spirit and will.
Exactly, break your own will.
Well, I think so. As we kind of approach this season, I have several athletes that are kind of up north, and one of the struggles they have is the wintertime because it gets so cold where they're at. We're talking like negative degrees, and I'm like, you guys are monsters for doing that because I don't think I would be running. I think I would be hibernating for the winter. I don't know if I have that kind of discipline.
Yeah, treadmill or hibernate. I'm gonna hibernate.
Yeah, probably gonna hibernate, right? So, but they were talking about like our temperatures and like heat and everything, and for them, if it gets to be 85 degrees, that's hot, and for us, that's like that's just a nice.
That's still spring.
That's
for
spring,
us.
yeah. It's the spring day, right? So I think sometimes, a lot of times, and some of the groups I've been a part of in the past, usually during the summertime, a lot of people kind of shut it down. They kind of like, or they take it inside or whatever. And so, in my opinion, they miss out on a lot of really good fitness by actually going through some of the adaptations your body's going to go through by training in the heat.
Yeah.
Right. So, I want to kind of get into that a little bit today to kind of help people prepare and then maybe help motivate them a little bit. So it seems like sometimes too, I will train people like the worst time to try to coach somebody in running, the worst time for them to start is like May or June. Right. And
heart rate.
It's because of the heart rate. Exactly. Because their heart rate goes like through the roof. So number one, they always got to slow down and they don't want to slow down. And now you're like, okay, I want you to slow down, but then understand that it's so hot outside. You're going to slow down even more because your heart's like regulating your body temperature. And so it's going to be working harder. So it's like constantly talking people off of a ledge. Right.
Oh yeah. Just go outside, just first step outside, your heart rate's 130.
Yes.
It's just in that heat.
Immediately.
Yes. You haven't even started. So.
Yeah. So I think that, toward the end of it too, once your body starts adapting and stuff, something really cool happens is when those temperatures come down and when you get that first like cooler day, all of a sudden you notice the kind of the fitness that you've gotten. Right. So, there's some really interesting studies that have been done, some really interesting, stats that are out there as far as like what happens to your body when you go through, the heat adaptations. And so it kind of boosts your cardiorespiratory efficiency, and it also helps to improve your sweat response. Right. So like you and I, we have a really good sweat response. I feel like, because when we sweat, we look like we got that nice thin layer of baby oil.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Nice
so
shimmer.
got that nice shine. And some of these other people that we work with, they don't, I feel like they're dehydrated because they don't look like they ever sweat.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I got that nice shine, and you are known for being soaked. You're just
so you shine. I'm gross, is what I just heard.
I did not say that. I'm just. A lot of people are talking when James runs by that he's splashing sweat all over. So
nice. I wonder if that's actually true. If somebody's like actually like, man, Coach James is
there he goes by
sweat
again.
on me. I would definitely not. Actually, there have been some summers where we'll be at the track and I've had shoes, and I don't know if it's because sometimes you'll like pour cold water on your head, try to cool your body down. Yeah. So I don't know if maybe it's just I'm soaking wet and the water pours down into my shoes, but there'll be sometimes we'll do workouts and I'll leave like wet footprints on the track. Have you ever seen that before?
Yeah, from you, I haven't noticed, but I'm going to say it's probably sweat. I mean, you're trying to blame it on water, but
I'm pretty sure it's because I'm pouring water over my head.
Okay.
Hey, this dude he's not going to co-sign. Nice. Well, anyway, so the thing is that, it definitely helps to increase that. It also helps increase like your plasma volume, which basically just helps your thermoregulation. So that's just how your body cools itself down. So if you have the ability to stay cooler in hotter temperatures, well, when it's cooler, your body is going to perform much, much, much better, right? Or much more efficiently, maybe is a better way to put it, right? So I think when you're going through the process of summer training or heat training or high humidity training, which is kind of what we have to go through, right? What you do is you simulate to an extent high elevation training, right? So we all know, or at least most people I would think know, that if you're going to be the best, a lot of people move to like Colorado, or they'll move to like those higher elevations, Utah, so that they can really benefit from the thinner air. Because in that thinner air, what happens is your body produces more red blood cells. It gets more efficient at absorbing that oxygen so that when they come back down to sea level, well, they're much more efficient. And so when there's a oxygen rich environment, then it's like all of a sudden it's like putting turbo into the engine, right? It's like taking nitric oxide. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Nitro.
Yeah, like in the movies, they're Fast and Furious, they hit that button.
Hit the turbo button.
They are gone.
And they're out of here, right? So that's really what it kind of does. And so, there was a study that was done in 2010 from the Journal of Applied, I think it was Physiology, and it found that after just 10 days of heat acclimation, that athletes improved their VO2 max. That's 10 days. Oh. So it takes the body about 4 to 6 weeks to adapt to any type of new stimulus. So that to me is like insane. The thought
quick
that within 2 weeks of training in the heat, you can get a VO2 max increase, right? And so your VO2 max base is just the volume of oxygen your blood can pump or absorb. So if you've been listening to this podcast for any extended time, you know that, or hopefully you've learned that oxygen is what really, specifically when you're using your aerobic energy system, is what creates energy. So the more energy you can create because you have more oxygen, well, then ultimately the faster you can go. So if your VO2 max is going up, now the VO2 max is like the be all end all of fitness, but it is a good determiner of how fast you can go. So like if you look at people like Eliud Kipchoge or like some of those cyclists that do like the Tour de France and stuff like that, those guys have like a VO2 max of like 90.
That's way up there.
That's nuts, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think mine's like at 50 something, 55 or something like that, which like to me, I'm like, oh, I'm pretty good. And that's not very good at all. Yeah. I mean, most of these people are like, especially the people who are really, really good, they're like in the 60s, 65, 70s, right? So if you're above average, I think you're in that like, and obviously it depends on your age.
Yeah.
But if you're above average, you're closer to the 60 number and above. And so if you can do some, high intensity efforts in that heat, it's just going to help to really increase the your VO2 max. So have you ever like seen or noticed like during the summer, anything particular that happens to you or when you're training in the heat? Is there anything you notice like fitness wise or speed wise or anything that happens to you during the summer?
Just getting used to the heat.
Okay.
When I start doing the runs out there, obviously pace comes down. My heart rate, goes up. I just have to slow the pace down, get used to it. But I think, like you said, after a few weeks, you get kind of used to it. Just body wise, the extra sweat, having to drink more water, more electrolytes. It's just kind of, it is a harder training.
Yeah.
Those, the Sunday HYROX track workouts, that can be night or day, a nice cloudy day. Can be, the workout wasn't that bad till the sun's shining, not a cloud in sight. Those are just some beat down workouts, brutal workouts. So it's just kind of, it definitely intensifies the work with the heat.
But one thing I do find interesting, I think you kind of mentioned it a little bit, is that you do adapt to it.
Yeah.
Right. And so like in the beginning of the summer, we're doing these workouts and they just seem so hard and so miserable. And toward the end of the summer, it's still challenging, but it doesn't seem as daunting of a task.
No, like you said, you're used to it. You've adapted, you know, physically and mentally, you know, just ready for those hard, you know, come end of July, August, you're just, you know, it's not even a big deal.
Yeah.
You know, the first hot one in spring, you're dying.
Yeah. You just don't plan on bringing a shirt. That's pretty much the only thing just sunscreen.
Sunscreen, yes.
Sunscreen, no shirts.
Yeah, maybe a hat and that's it.
That's it, yeah. We got to protect these chromes, these domes.
These balding heads.
Yeah. So I think there was another study I found that was done in published in the Frontiers in in Physiology, and it showed that heat training increased blood plasma volume by up to 7%, which basically just improves the oxygen delivery and endurance. So this is the thing, I think, more than anything that kind of helps simulate or kind of connect to like the elevation training, right? So the ability to absorb that oxygen, the ability to utilize that oxygen in a more effective manner. And so, you know, what I'm always telling people about that. So, you know, just finished the HYROX certification. Yes. Right, the level 1. So I've already done the level 1, and then I did the foundation, but then they said the level 1 didn't count anymore, and we had to do it again.
Okay.
So I did it again.
Oh, you did it again?
Yeah.
Aren't you technically a performance coach now? Is that what it's called, or?
Yes.
Okay.
I think that's what it was called. It's like something like
performance coach level 1.
Performance coach level 1, whatever it is. It basically just means I'm amazing. It basically means I know all things HYROX and I can coach anyone. I think that's what the search said.
Pretty sure that's what it is.
Yeah. But you know, they talk about, you know, the different energy systems. And one thing that kind of stood out to me is like, I don't know if you ever, you know how you know something, but then you don't use it, like you'll maybe not apply it a lot, or you may not talk about it a lot, and then somebody explains it a different way, and like it clicks a little different.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, I talk about using energy systems all the time.
It's just kind of like you say, read something in a textbook, and you kind of grasp it, but then someone kind of maybe explains it, and then you're, oh, that's kind of
right.
It just makes more sense. Like,
right. So I mean, we've talked about this before, like your different zones that we always talk about training in, right? And I know a lot of people are like, oh, you shouldn't worry about your heart rate. And we always say, don't be a slave to anything. So we're not a slave to our heart rate. We're not a slave to how we feel. We're not a slave to pace, but we use all of those metrics to kind of help lead us and guide us to get us where it is we want to go. And so the good thing about monitoring your heart rate or watching your heart rate is that it's a real world number that you can utilize if you're wearing a monitor to kind of help guide you. Because in the beginning, I feel like most people don't know what easy kind of feels like.
Correct.
You know, and so they're going out there and they're thinking it's easy, but it's just because that's the only thing they've ever known.
Yeah.
Right. So I was running with someone the other day and with the HYROX run group, and I don't want to say your name, but you know who I'm talking about as soon as I say it. When we run next time, if you're okay with it, just let me know and I will give you a shout out. So, but we were running and we were talking and everything else, and I could tell they were a little labored in their breathing. And I was like, hey, where's your heart rate at? And they're like, oh, it's high. And I was like, well, I can tell because you're breathing. I was like, well, what's high? And they're like 187. I was like, oh. I was like, we need to slow down, bro. That's too high. He's like, yeah, I'm just learning. I'm just figuring out this slow pace, man. And I was like, yeah, well, but we were both able to talk, you know, so he was able to talk. It was just, he was kind of taking breaths every now and again. Yeah. And so when you tell people, you know, hey, do the, you know, conversation pace, well, technically they were running conversation pace.
Yeah, I try to always add in there. Can you say a 3 to 4 word sentence before that breath comes in? Because sometimes I can talk. This is talking.
Yeah.
No, trying to say a few words without having to gasp for that breath.
Right. So. There should be 0 breaths, gaspings.
Yes.
Right. I like to call it the singing pace. So if you can sing, like if you can get out a full stanza, it doesn't have to sound good, but if you can sing it, you probably are processing enough oxygen that's an easy pace.
You can sing it, bring it.
It's exactly right.
That's
right.
It.
I'm not about like listening to music when you run, but I am about singing songs as I run. So I think that's usually kind of another way to do it. But if you're running with other people, you can usually tell by who you're with. If I'm listening to you run, I can tell if you're probably running too hard. Now, maybe it's different for me because I'm a little more expert at it, right? But same thing, you could probably do the same thing. But if you're hearing people like kind of take a breath, and
Yeah.
they're like, then they're probably running too fast. So, like I said, we're not slaves to any of that stuff, but we want to utilize that stuff to kind of help us gauge what we're doing. And so, what ends up happening is in those different zones is you've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's usually like the standard that we go by. If you're using Garmin, that's what theirs is. Some people use 3, some just use 4, but we usually kind of go by the 5 zones. And so your first zone is like this. Zone 1, we're just sitting down, chilling, everyday life, resting heart rate, stuff like that, light activity. Zone 2, we call that like your fat burning zone, your low intensity recovery aerobic training zone. So you're using oxygen as an energy source. Zone 3 is usually do you start people usually at 3, or you try to get them to start at 2?
I try 2, but most of the time they're at 3.
3, okay. So I always tell them, like, if you can get to 2, go to 2. But then I always say, but 3 is okay.
I usually tell them, I give them a number, usually a general number, and try
an actual heart rate number,
and try to stay lower the better.
Okay,
you don't have to hit this number. I just try the lower the better kind of. It's almost like a game. I don't care about your pace. What's your heart rate?
Right.
I've had a few. I had a client that I hadn't seen his runs in a little bit. I was like, send me your runs, and sheepishly they were sent, and they were all kind of.
That's usually a sign if you hadn't seen them in a while.
They were all a little high, but we're all learning.
Right.
That's the process of it. I mean, I go back to the fact I did the same thing with you when I first signed up with you. I was like, no way, this is not my pace.
Mm-hmm.
This is it.
It's too slow.
Yeah, too slow.
Yeah,
like,
only old women run this pace.
That's right. There you go, James. I was waiting for it. I was like, nope. 167. I was like, oh. So,
well, the thing that gets me is I always want to try to be positive, right? But when I get the same message from people over and over again, I'm like, how do I put a positive spin on this? And I'm like, hey, I see you're trying, but try harder. Or when really I want to say is, what are you doing? Slow down. Stop trying to run a 9-minute pace or a 10-minute pace. Like I think sometimes people get a number in their mind of what is like not slow.
Yes.
And that's what they try to do. And they try to make their heart rate match it.
I'm gonna call out one of my clients.
Okay.
By name.
Okay.
Flo.
Your
Flo.
partner.
My partner.
Okay.
Yes, my HYROX partner, Flo. She'll send me her runs. Sometimes she's getting better.
Okay.
She's progressing, and she'll be no. My heart was a little high. I just had to run fast, and every now and then she'll question me.
Of course.
She'll be like, "Did you run today?" And I'll send her it. And my pace it might be 11:30. 12 minute. And the only thing she'll say is like, wow, look at that heart rate. That's all she'll say. It'll be like 128. She's like, that's, and I was like, but you don't care about pace.
Yeah. Now all of a sudden you don't care about the pace.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was like, so it's kind of funny. I was like, I guarantee if you ran that pace, she's running 9:30 or 10 minutes, just slow it down a little bit. I guarantee her heart rate would be low.
Of course.
So it's just kind of funny that she'll only look at my heart rate, but that's it.
She's not paying attention that you're walking.
Yes, exactly.
In their opinion, what walking would be, right?
Absolutely, yes.
So you've got zone 1, zone 2, zone 3. So we always suggest, right, try to stay in those 2 zones. The lower, the better. Because in zone 2, your body actually becomes extremely efficient at burning fat as an energy source. And so, you hear me say, we're talking about oxygen creates energy. Well, your body also takes fat, carbohydrates, and they convert those into energy as well, right? And so when we talk about longevity, we usually say, your body takes carbs, converts it into glycogen, and so your body has about, 60 minutes or so of glycogen stores. And so that's why we're also talking about fueling on the longer efforts, right, on the harder efforts and things of that nature. But if you're at a low enough intensity in that zone 2, well, your body will metabolize fat as an energy source. And the cool thing is, like, all of us have more than enough fat to sustain energy for almost indefinitely, right? So basically you can go longer with less effort.
And, one thing to kind of go back to that point you said earlier about, the guy saying that you can't build muscle and run, that's you're running too hard. If you stay in that low zone 2, you're burning body fat.
Yeah.
You're not, using that muscle, it's not, cannibalizing your body.
Exactly, right?
So you're, using the fat as a fuel source and maintaining muscle. That's a, win-win.
Right. And so I think where people get messed up is like, yes, to do that, for that to actually work and your body go into a state of ketosis, that's like long efforts, right? You're talking hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. And most people don't have that kind of time unless you're training for like a marathon or some kind of endurance sport. So like the most efficient way to burn fat would be doing those short, high intensity efforts. But that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about burning fat necessarily. Like we're not talking about getting lean. We're talking about performance. We're talking about building up our aerobic capacity so that everything else we do is better, right? So zone 2, zone 3 is aerobic. It's where you're using oxygen and you're able to process enough oxygen to create energy and flush out any kind of waste that is built up, right, when that energy burns off. Zone 4 is, for the most part, where I feel like 90% of the population lives, right, all the time. And that's your lactate threshold. And so your lactate threshold is basically an effort you can keep for about 60 minutes or so, about an hour, before you see a significant drop in performance. And so, a lot of times for a lot of people, that's somewhere like your 10K pace. If you're a super amazing person, maybe your half marathon pace. But usually traditionally it's like your 10K effort. And so, your body, as that energy is burned off, as that ATP is burned off, it creates these 2 waste byproducts, and that's lactate that builds up in your muscles and in your bloodstream really is what happens. And so because of that you're not able to process enough oxygen, get that out through your lungs and be able to turn it back into new energy. And so it builds up and you see a drop off in performance. So as long as you're not in that zone, your heart can do what it's supposed to, and it recycles all that stuff. So it flushes out what's bad, brings in more good. You have an unending amount of energy. All right. Well, zone 5 is our anaerobic. That's a completely different energy system, right? So you're using a different, you're using ATP CP, which is creatine phosphate. So you're using that. And it's about 2 to 4 minutes.
Yeah, anaerobic without oxygen.
It's without oxygen. Exactly. So you're not using oxygen at all, but you only have like maybe 2 to 4 minutes of energy to be able to do that. Right. So when you look at these different energy systems and how you're working them, well, based on whatever it is you're doing, those are the energy systems you want to train. And so one of the things I thought that was kind of interesting is they were talking about the three main energy systems, which was aerobic, anaerobic, and phosphagen. Okay. And so the phosphagen system is basically, it doesn't use oxygen. There's no waste byproducts, but you only have like maybe 10 seconds of it. Okay. So it's like your sprint, right? It's like your stride. And so, one of the things they were saying is like, as part of your race strategy, it's okay to go out really fast in the very, very beginning, but then you have to settle into your pace because you want to use that phosphagen because it's free energy, it's free movement, right? It's free turbo. But you have to be careful because once you get past that 10 seconds, you switch over into your lactate threshold or into your anaerobic. And when that happens, then you start building up waste and you start ending it really quick, right? So
crash and burn.
And you'll end up crashing and burning, right? And so one of the cool things about training in the heat or training in the high temperatures and high humidity is that you're building every one of those systems up, especially if you train in them. But if you're training even easy pace stuff, then what ends up happening is that I like to think of it like this. If you're building a pyramid or a house, what's the first thing you work on?
Your base,
the foundation, the thing it's built on. If you start building on the second floor and you build a second floor that's wider, bigger than the first floor, what happens?
It's going to collapse.
It's going to collapse. It's going to topple over. And so many people are training their middle of the road stuff and they don't have a good foundation, or they're training anaerobic all the time. Nothing but anaerobic. They're doing HIIT workouts, EMOMs and, AMRAPs all the time. And they're not really training that aerobic capacity. And then they go out hot and they go out fast and they wonder why they blow up after about 15, 20 minutes.
And just side note, you're also, the zone 2, you're not taxing the nervous system. It's not as taxing as the body. Like if you just go out and, yes, you maybe if you're pushing hard, but if you push hard every day, you're just going to, lead to overtraining, and injury.
For sure.
Just pushing hard every day versus, having that zone 2 base and, what you talk about, mixing your days, easy, hard days.
Right.
I think some people don't realize, like what you said, they're in the middle. They're not too hard to be easy, but not hard enough to be that full push.
Right.
To really push their fitness, like you say.
And that's one of the things that's probably one of the things you probably want to be the most aware or maybe cautious of when the summertime comes around, is that it's easier to get up into that threshold. It's easier to get up into that anaerobic, right? Because your heart rate's going to elevate because it's trying to cool your body down. So making sure that you're easing back, making sure that you're keeping it easy when it's supposed to be easy, making sure that you're getting plenty of hydration, drinking water, getting in electrolytes, because all that stuff is being depleted every time you sweat, right? So I think the body loses somewhere between like 6 to 8 ounces of water every 20 minutes. So that's a good amount of water. You're talking about like a gallon of water almost, like in an hour or something like that. Yeah. That's a lot of water to be losing. And the hotter it is, more likely, or the more humid it is, you're probably going to sweat even more. And so if you're in a drier climate, you may not even notice it as much.
Yeah.
Right. So it's very important that you're constantly getting in some sort of hydration, getting in some sort of electrolytes. So electrolytes would just be like sodium, potassium, magnesium, calcium, carbohydrates, calories, things that will fuel, sugars that will fuel your body and keep it going. Not to mention, like if it's water is part of the cooling system for your body. And so it helps it's why you sweat, right? So it also helps to cool that core body temperature down to help keep you from elevating. So Tommy has been talking about this thing he saw the other day.
Holding the ice.
Holding the something cold in his hand, yes. Right? Did you talk to him about it? Because he did it the other day. Did he tell you what the result was?
No, he didn't.
No?
I just saw the first initial test run.
Okay.
At the track.
Yeah, I saw it, but I never, I don't know if it worked. Like if it was like
okay. What did he say?
He didn't do it when y'all were here that one day? Because that was afterwards, right? So we did it at the track.
No, we didn't. He didn't do it here when we worked out for the last track workout here.
Yeah,
no,
he didn't do it there?
No, he didn't do it here.
Okay. Well, it's not that I don't think it's funny. I think it's just funny because he's running around with like what did he have, like ice?
It was like it wasn't like an ice pack.
They were like little cylinders or something, right? Like frozen cylinders or something.
Yeah, it was. I'm trying to remember what it was, but it was something. The science behind feeling it cool in your hand kind of deal.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I don't know. It only lasts for a little bit, but especially during the summertime, I'll have my belt on and I'll have my water. And I always freeze my water.
Yeah.
And so I put it in my belt, and so it's like in my lower back. And so I feel pretty good, but it melts in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, especially in the heat.
Especially in the heat, right? So it doesn't last very long. But there's something to be said for drinking the cold water, or, if you're wearing a hat, right? And which is a good idea to kind of help protect the heat exposure to your head. But having the hat wet, cold hat or something like that. Yeah. They've got those new, I don't know if you've seen them, but some of the marathoners have used them. I think I saw Jake Dearden wear one in a HYROX race, but it's like that. It's like a headband, and it's got some kind of little cubes or squares on the front of it. And I don't know if they're frozen or something, but it's supposed to help keep your core body temperature down. Nice. So I could see how that could definitely be beneficial as well. But you just got to understand that as you're doing this, everything intensifies. So you're burning 10 to 15% more of the calories. So that probably means you also need to do what more?
Fuel
more often,
gels.
Right? You got to take more gels more than likely, right? You're losing, water nonstop. And so making sure that you're drinking, 16 to 24 ounces of water, probably every hour at least. Right. So I think of myself on the hottest days, I have my little bottles are 15 ounces, I think 15, 16 ounces. And I'll go through say if we do a 10-mile run, which usually takes an hour and a half, 2 hours, something like that, depending on how
who's pacing?
Yeah.
Is Jess pacing or Larry?
Yeah, or am I pacing, right? So it's longer if I'm pacing, by the way. I'll go through 2 or 3 of those bottles easily in that time period. So I'm getting anywhere from almost 45 ounces of water in that 2-hour time span. And that's not counting if we stop at the water fountain, which we're probably going to do.
Yeah.
Right. So, making sure that you're getting that will do a lot to kind of help, help you get through it. So, and I think another big thing is just kind of setting the expectations, or maybe adjusting your expectations.
Quick question on that then. How would you recommend someone go about getting adapted to it? Just starting off with a couple mile run. Because I know in the summer we always we start early on our long runs.
Yes.
We'll start at 6, maybe 5:30 once you start getting some of those longer, 12-mile runs.
Right.
But just not just going out there and going right to the middle of the day trying to run. You're doing 4 miles at 100 degrees. That's probably not the smartest thing to do.
No, still, I think you definitely want to be in the cooler part of the day. So earlier in the morning, later in the evening, because you do want to be cautious because of the temperature, heat exhaustion, heat exposure is going to be much greater, and so you don't want to do something that could be beneficial and make it dangerous.
Yeah.
So, and then the other thing, I think as far as progression, it's just like you would progress any other time of the year. If you haven't been running at all, then you only start maybe 20, 30 minutes, 2 or 3 times a week, and you're just worried about getting the time and keeping the heart rate down.
Like, don't try to David Goggins it.
No, you don't need to go out and run for 4 hours, right? And be telling people how they don't know you. Okay. So people are famous for a reason, and some of that stuff works, but my whole philosophy is it shouldn't be like miserable. Like the training shouldn't be miserable. You shouldn't be like suffering all the time to improve. You know what I find is every person I've ever met that had that kind of like mentality and that attitude, it did not last. It wasn't sustainable.
Gets injured.
Because they get injured all the time, or like the intensity, what'll happen is they do these big, like, there are hills and valleys, because when they're motivated, they're going hard, everything else, they get injured or they get burnt out or tired, and then they hit the valley. And so they're constantly doing this. Yeah. And I just don't see a lot of progression from those folks when that's what they're doing. Now, I mean, I'm not saying that mentality can't be good if it's tempered properly, because that can really help you go to the next level. But, trying to be someone that you're not because somebody talks a bunch of trash and they're like, the only way to be successful is to be a, psychopath.
Yeah, no, I think like you said, with the workouts, easy and hard.
Yeah.
How is this workout going to feed into the next one?
Yeah.
Looking at your whole training plan, just same as the heat. Okay, I'm doing a hot run outside today. Tomorrow I'm going to be inside the gym lifting or something. Versus just outside hot every day kind of deal.
Well, there was something in that HYROX training too. They use the 80-20 principle. And when I saw that, I was like, I almost passed out.
Probably teared you out.
I did. And then I read it.
Oh,
their 80-20 principle is that, and it's similar to what we're talking. It's basically what we do, kind of, but it was like 80% of your results comes from 20% of your efforts. So that's their 80-20 principle, right? So ours is 80% of our efforts are easy, 20% are hard. Their philosophy is 80% of the results come from 20% of the activity. So what they're saying is, like, the biggest results you're going to get are going to be from a small sample of your training. And they do say, you need to do aerobic training, you need to do endurance training, not every workout needs to be hard, you need to be able to rest and recover and sleep, and all those things are important. So they said all the right things, but like just the 80-20, their concept of the 80-20 principle was a different explanation.
So they're really focusing on that 20%.
On the 20%.
That's of the hard stuff.
Yeah. Right? So it was like, this is the thing that's going to help get you right to the most overall gains, I guess, what have you. And I could see that to an extent. But I think really more than anything is when you are doing all this kind of training, specifically in the summertime, just understanding that it's a process. And that all of it is beneficial, but there are certain things that are gonna help you get maybe closer to where you want to go with a greater level of success, because you're not going to be hurt and because you can stay consistent. And so that's one of the reasons why our 80-20 is 80% easy, 20% hard, is because that is a formula to keep you from getting hurt.
Yeah, absolutely.
So every athlete's different. Every person's different. Some people, like, you look at them funny and they pull a muscle, or, they tear an MCL or something like that. And then other people, like, they're never hurt. Like, they could go all the time. They could crush, like, these ridiculously hard workouts. There's people who've come to me and they've done all the wrong things. And I ask them, have you ever been injured? I'm like, no. You ever had like a little pain in your knee or ankle? Nope, nothing. And I'm like, oh, okay. And they've been doing like all these hard workouts, whatever. And then I have some people who come in and they do all the stuff right. They're doing whatever. And they reach a certain mileage, 35, 40 miles. And they're like, yeah, man, my knee's been bothering me on the inside. Right now, obviously they're probably not doing the recovery work or whatever, but they've been running easy, right? They've been doing that stuff. And so they start getting these little issues and stuff. So, some people are freaks of nature. I don't know. They've got great genetics and they don't have any issues. And then other people, their genetics suck.
Just break down.
And they break down, right? And so I feel like this kind of training, no matter who you are, it helps benefit your longevity and your consistency.
No, I think, you're always talking about the 5 golden rules.
Yeah.
And, it's not if you break them, you're automatically going to get injured. It's just kind of, it keeps you off that kind of, what would you say, like kind of intersecting kind of paths. If you quit getting off, running hard, just too much fast stuff, no recovery. It's just going to put you on your percentage of possibly getting injured.
Yes.
Like it's not a guarantee, but you want the numbers in your favor of not being injured to kind of stay consistent.
Right.
Because nothing's worse than, being injured. Can't train.
No. I tell people that based off of the 5 rules, the more of the rules you keep, the more consistent you're probably going to be, and the quicker you're going to get to the results you want.
Yep.
So if you keep one and it's just the 80-20 principle, 80% hard or 80% easy, 20% hard, then you're going to improve. Okay. But you may have some mental issues here and there. If you do the 10% rule as well, where you only increase and you do progressive overload or what have you, you're going to see improvements and you're probably going to limit your injury, right? You don't do too much on your long run or your hardest effort. And so each one, if you do cross training, if you do drills, all of those things play into you getting better and with less risk of injury, right? You can never guarantee that you're not going to get injured because life happens.
Yeah.
Crazy things, happen to, weird things, whatever. And then as we age too, especially with as much as we train, as much things as we do on a regular basis, you're probably going to do something dumb or weird and you're going to get hurt or get injured, but learning how to work through that, I think, and learning that, okay, the more I stick to these rules, the lower the likelihood of that stuff happening.
No, 100%. I'm, like I said, getting up there in age, and it is like, a battle of just staying healthy.
Yeah. It does feel that way sometimes.
It is with some of the workouts, just the mileage, it is a grind to stay on top of everything as far as recovery and, just following the rules. It's kind of like, even as coaches, we get that little ear in our, that little bug in our ear is just if I push a little bit harder here.
Yep.
I just need to put another workout in. One more intense workout. It's just, maybe I should just add yoga to the, volume, something recovery wise, not just hard.
Isn't that interesting? Like when you feel like you need to do something more, it's never yoga. It's never like a recovery day or add 2 hours of sleep. It's, I need another 20-minute AMRAP.
Yes.
Or I need to add in another speed day. Isn't that weird?
No, absolutely. It's just, like I said, I fall victim to almost starting, when I, start thinking about some of my plans, you do my running and like this last block, I added just some zone 2 erg work.
Yeah.
That's all I added, but make sure my heart rate stayed low. I fought the effort of, maybe I should do, like you said, another AMRAP or, another Metcon of just, all out. I was like, no, I'm just going to build some volume, but with the low intensity since you had my mileage coming up.
Yeah,
so
right.
I was like, no, don't want to break down.
Right. Well, and I think that's the thing. During the summer, you can either take steps back, get hurt, or you can own the summer by practicing, those 5 rules, chilling out and letting your body adapt the way it should naturally. And if you do, you will be like surprised. I cannot tell you how many times I've trained people through the summertime and like seen them like level up big time from say March to October, like completely different athletes. I've had people that, I trained during the kind of the fall. They might've come to me like maybe in October or November and they wanted to train something for January and they did better. They did good. And then I was like, okay, now we're going to put it together. And they, we start in like January or February and we go through the summer and it's a tough summer. The summer's tough. They're like, oh my God, it's so hot. Oh my God, I can't survive. My heart rate, I can't control my heart rate. And I'm like, just slow down. I promise you, I'm running slower than I was in October. I was like, because it's so hot outside, it's going to be okay. I promise. And then they come around to that next race and they get this huge PR.
It's like that kind of weight's been taken off. It's cold weather, cooler weather. They are just, ready to roll.
Mm-hmm. So, and I think, Jessica said it really well. She was like, in preparing for Boston, she was like, you know what? I have ran in every type of weather in the last 6 months. Hot, cold, rainy, snowy, like icy, you name it, I've ran in it. And so your body has adapted and you're prepared for it. So nothing that comes up on race day is going to surprise you. You know that you can run in all of those situations. So I think that's another good thing about training during the summer and in the high heat and things of that nature is that you have no idea on race day what the weather's going to be like, Right now, HYROX, the good thing is it's usually always inside. I think New York's going to be out on the pier, right? So it's outside.
Yeah, I mean, well, when we went and did Nice over the summer, it was humid.
It was, building. And they had the doors open.
They had the doors open.
And I think that's probably why it was so humid.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It was just humid in there, and all those tough sessions are running out here.
You were ready to go.
Ready to go.
Right?
People were passing out.
They were. That's true. I forgot about that.
Yeah, they were pulling people out, just not adapted.
Yeah. So, it's really easy for that kind of thing to happen if you have not let your body adapt, through your training and things of that nature. So, and then here in Houston, dude, I think 2 years ago, I think this past year for the Houston Marathon and Aramco, it was cold. It was like 30 degrees. It was so cold. Like I was miserable out there. It was so cold. Like usually Houston has a ton of spectators, like millions of spectators out there. There was like 10 this time around.
I went out to cheer you guys on. It was horrible.
Yeah. It was so windy.
Oh, it was windy. It was freezing.
Oh my God, it was horrible. Well, the year before, it was hot. It got up to like by the time they were finishing the marathon, the fast people like so within 2 hours of the start time by 9 o'clock, like it was like 80 degrees.
Oh wow!
And so as the temperature, as those 4 hour and 5 hour people are coming in, it was like 90 in the middle of January. So you're never gonna know right what it's gonna be like, and so I think putting yourself in, and that's what we always talk about, right? Nothing new on race day.
Yep.
So you put yourself in different situations so that whenever the race does come around, you're not surprised.
You're ready. Ready state.
Ready state. I like that. So so you have any kind of big training plans for the summer?
I think we talked about it, possibly doing the Spartan is it Deca Fit.
Okay.
Or is that
in September, though?
That might be in September.
But I mean, technically that's summer here, too.
Yeah,
so.
summer here. So training. No, just trying to get through this HYROX and then just kind of seeing, maybe do a Spartan race.
Okay.
We haven't
done one in a while.
Yeah, Savage race. We haven't done one of those in a while.
I know, but I know the Spartan is there's one in Austin, and that's in May, right?
Okay, yeah, it's in May.
I think it's like the second week in May or something, May 16th or something. But I think the Savage is like in October.
Is it?
I think so. And I'm not sure exactly where it is, but I don't think it's in Houston. I think it's like, I don't know, Dallas or Austin or something.
Well, I'm going to do a plug here. I know a lot of people are fired up for the Building Champions series.
I hope so, yeah.
May 24th.
Yeah, I think we only have like maybe 9 or 10 tickets left.
That is compared to usually when
everybody waits till the last freaking minute. Yeah,
like last minute signing up the night before, and we have no idea.
That's it.
The people want the competition.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be good. So we might open up a few more slots, but I think at this tier, this pricing tier, I think there's only 10 tickets left. So I think I looked or maybe 9. So actually, I think someone just signed up this morning. So if you want to get on it and you want to compete, you want to be a part of it, I would sign up now and not wait because it's definitely going to sell out. And this tier is almost sold out. So if you wait, you just have to pay more to be in it.
That's it. So maybe jumping in a 10K or half marathon somewhere.
Okay.
I haven't done a road race in a while.
Yeah.
So that'd be just fun to change it up a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. I think the road racing, especially for like OCR or HYROX, is really good because it kind of teaches you can hold a pace for like a long time.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's kind of as far as, hopefully qualifying for HYROX Worlds, and then after that, see what happens.
Yeah, I like it. So, Jess came back, right? And they opened up some spots in New York. I don't know if I should mention that now because I think it's like 50% sold out because it's like Friday Night Lights or something.
Yeah, I saw that. You just mixed doubles,
and it's
right?
just mixed doubles. And so I was like, well, I mentioned it. I was like, do you want to do that? Because we didn't get to race to Houston. She's like, oh, it's too close to. No, I don't think so. Logically, it's not a good idea. So she was like, no, right? And so I was like, okay, I get it. That makes sense. And then I sent her a message, I think yesterday. I was like, hey, I'm going to make the decision for us. We're not going to go. We'll just, we'll race next year together. It'll be fun. We'll go in, we'll crush it. And like, as soon as I sent the message, she sent one back to me. She's like, starts telling me all the reasons why we should do it. I'm like, what's wrong with you, crazy person? You just told me, you're telling me all the reasons why not to do it. Now you're wanting to do it.
Because you said no.
Because I said no. That's exactly it.
That's it.
So then I told her, I was like, well, here's what we'll do. Because Larry and I are racing on Saturday. I'll let you know Sunday. Because if we don't qualify, right, then I'm definitely going to want to do it just for one more shot.
One more shot.
And that chick, she's like, well, you can let me know Saturday. I was like, well, they're racing on both days, so I won't know for sure until Sunday.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, but if you're not first on Saturday, then you'll know. And so we can go ahead and sign up on Saturday. I was like, nice, faith. Thanks for the faith. Believing in us. She's like, oh, I believe in you, but, Just in case.
Just in case.
Just in case. So I thought that was funny. These people, man, they crack me up. It's like you get so hungry, man, and you get a little taste of it, and it's never enough.
Now
It's never enough. Just keep conquering these goals, man. I love it. It's cool.
absolutely PRs, chasing PRs.
Chasing PRs, guys. So maybe you guys are chasing PRs. Maybe you guys are out there looking for the next thing. I would make the suggestion, use this summer, get with a group, right? Because misery loves company. It'll make it a lot easier, a lot less intense. Make sure you're hydrating before, during, after. Find those cooler parts of the day. Chase the shade. It's okay. Run the trails. Trails are cooler because there's more shade usually. Sunscreen. Make sure you protect your skin. But definitely use this opportunity during the summer to really benefit from those increased VO2 maxes and that oxygen absorption and that adaptation your body's going to make, so that when the cooler temperatures come around or you get inside in the AC, your body can really see some big gains.
Like that Captain America super soldier come fall.
Oh yeah.
That's it.
It's like a natural steroid.
Absolutely.
That's it. So
high T levels.
That's what we're all about.
That's
here.
it.
We need to make that shirt. We need to make a shirt that says, I suffer from high T.
That's it.
That's it.
Absolutely.
So, guys, thanks for coming in today. I appreciate it. Carlos, thanks for filling in for Lauren.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
I've kind of filled the seat. It feels kind of nice. It feels kind of nice. Sorry, Lauren. You
did a good job.
Get used to it. But
did you see she made a post today that said something about don't get comfortable or something?
I did, and I did a rebuttal. I said, Coach Carlos is 100% germ free.
Oh,
so, yeah,
nice.
So I let her know.
Nice.
So
I don't know. Did you see the picture? It was a pretty sad picture
of her. It was like a video, wasn't it?
Was it a video?
Yeah.
I just saw like a story and it looked like a picture of her and it said something like, Coach Carlos for filling in for me. Don't get comfortable or something like that.
No, she hacked her way through a speech.
Oh, did she?
Yes.
A speech?
Yeah, or a little few comments there. So.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It looked really sad.
Yeah. It
looked
not,
really
not
pathetic.
for the faint of heart.
No, I shouldn't watch it then.
Yeah.
I shouldn't watch it at all.
You're heartless.
Sometimes I think people think that. I think sometimes people think that. Oh my gosh. So I'm sure she's thinking when I sent her home yesterday, I'm sure she's thinking, I just didn't want her being around me and getting me sick. But I don't want her to be like suffering while she's at work, and if she's sick, the best thing she could do is rest.
Absolutely. Very
it's
thoughtful.
Just an added benefit that I don't want her around me getting me sick either.
No, it's a win-win.
Yeah. And I know if we did on the podcast today, she would have probably tried to come and power through it. But she'd been, and I wouldn't have been able to think properly. I'd have been, they'd have been accusing me of being mean.
No, we're off that. New Gentle James.
Gentle James. He makes an appearance every now and then. He didn't make an appearance this morning though. I had to fill in for Jamie for the 5 a.m. class.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And when I walked in, or when they came in this morning, they saw me. I think they were a little disappointed.
Oh no.
Yeah. They're like, "Oh, where's Jamie?" I was like, "Oh, you ain't got Jamie today. You got me." And I had like shorts and a tank top on to do the workout.
Okay.
And I think that didn't make them feel any better either. I was like, all right, this is what we're doing. So I think they had a good time though. It was a tough workout.
Good for them.
At least they pretended like it was.
Yes.
So what's the goal?
What's the goal?
For Atlanta? Is there a number you're shooting for?
110.
110. All right. And what about, you don't necessarily have a one for the mix or what?
I would say we could get sub 115.
Really? I feel like y'all could be faster than that.
I think she does. I just don't know how I'm going to recover.
Oh, it's you. Gotcha.
Yeah, it's going to be seeing how. I mean, I think time wise, ultimate be sub 110.
Yeah.
But is how far can I push?
Yeah.
The next day.
I think you're going to be surprised, honestly. I think you'll be surprised. I mean, what time do you race on Sunday? Do you know? 10:50, right?
Yes, 10:50. Same as,
and you race in the morning on Saturday too, right?
Yeah, 8:50 or 9. So it's a good 24 hours.
24 hours, bro. Just don't spend all day Saturday there. You should probably go back, take a nap.
Yeah. What time you race at 7 at night?
7:40.
7:40 at night.
Yeah. Prime time, bro.
That's like my bedtime.
I know. I know. That's the prime time. What are you talking about? They saved the prime time for us.
I'll be out there with my pajamas.
They know we're going to be putting on a show out there. So they're like, oh, yeah. Man, I can't tell you the last time I did something that late.
I don't even like to go out to dinner that late. Yeah.
But the only thing I do sometimes that late is the Tuesday night workouts, the runs. But I hadn't done a hard one in a while at that time. So usually it's a nice, easy effort.
Yeah.
So I hope I usually prefer doing evenings.
Like tough workouts?
Yeah.
You do?
I prefer it.
Yeah, see, I'm opposite morning.
But lately I haven't done that. They've all been earlier, right? Or in the middle of the day. So
You're a
see how that
veteran.
goes.
You'll be able to power through it.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think the only thing I'm worried about is just that Larry doesn't kill me.
Yeah, you're on your own there.
Yeah.
He is.
I'm pretty sure I texted him the other day. I'm pretty sure he responded with freaking Ivan saying, "If he dies, he dies." All right. So we might have to get one of those like little kid straps that goes on my wrist so that if I do die, he can just keep dragging me around the course.
Little wheelies.
Yeah.
Little wheelies.
The wheelie things in the shoes.
Yeah, just hang on.
Yeah. I'll be out here like a dog sled. Mush, mush, Larry.
He's ready.
He is.
I'm excited to watch you guys.
It's gonna be fun. Yeah, so I'm cool. I think it's gonna be cool to watch him on Saturday too.
All right.
Or Sunday.
What is your goal time?
For which one? For my wife and I?
Both.
For my wife and I, we haven't really talked about it yet. So anything that ends with both of us still married and alive, that's our goal time. That's it right there. That's it. So no, my wife and I remember the last time I ran with her a little bit. She did the Spartan in Waco.
Okay.
And I jumped in right at the end. It was like the last mile to help kind of push her through. And my wife she doesn't give herself enough credit, but I pushed that chick hard and she took every bit of it. And she ended up getting, I think, second or third place, right? She ended up podium, and she didn't expect that because like I said, she doesn't give herself nearly enough credit. So my wife could be really good if she really wanted to be. I think she just doesn't want to she doesn't want me to push her too hard. Yeah. Sometimes, right? So I think she's not intimidated, but she knows she could probably be good, but she knows what it would take.
Yeah.
And she just may not want to do it right now because she's got so many other things she's doing.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think we could probably be in the 115 range. I think so.
Oh, absolutely. Running with the spouse is always different.
Yes.
Anytime, you train my lovely wife, Gabby, and there's a reason for that.
Yes. Yes. Hopefully I don't make my wife cry.
Yes. No, it's just kind of we'll train every now and then. It's, it's just sometimes hey, let's pick up the pace. Why are you yelling? That's just.
I can see that so much. As soon as you said that, all I could think of was me trying to motivate my wife and she looking at me and saying, "Stop yelling at me."
No, see, it's not, it's everywhere. All the guys listening, it's not just your household.
No, it's every household, every husband, every wife. Yeah.
See, we got the high tea in here. It's a safe zone. Mm-hmm. So random day, me and Gabby worked out at the house and we started running laps and I can't remember what I said. All right, let's go. Let's pick it up. Why are you yelling? Mm-hmm. It take a few minutes of just kind of, back and forth, and we settled into our workout.
We got back into it. Yeah. I could also see us going out and she takes off and I look and I was like, "Oh, we're going a little fast, babe. We need to slow down." "Don't tell me to calm down." That's the other one I could see. Yes. So it's gonna be fun. I really am looking forward to it. I don't know if she's looking forward to it. I think she's doing it merely because I've asked her so many times and because she made kind of a little bit of a stink. There's still a little animosity, I feel like, for Houston.
Oh.
Right. Or not Houston, but Anaheim, because we were supposed to do Anaheim together and I didn't sign us up.
Yes.
And it was a whole thing.
Yep.
And so I think there's still a little bit of she brings it up as much as she can. I feel every time we talk about racing together, she brings that up.
That's just the first thing.
It's the first thing. And I'm like, "I've been asking you." And she's like, "Yeah, we were supposed to do it." I was like, "Okay, my bad. I'm sorry. I suck. We know this." So, but now I won't be able to say that anymore because we'll have raced together.
I was like, maybe this slate will be cleaned.
Yes.
Forever forgotten. Never brought up again.
Yep.
Just like, nope. Remember Atlanta.
Hotlanta.
We raced together.
That's it. So,
Sweathouse.
it probably doesn't help either that I feel like Lillian instigates too because she's over there.
Fanning the flames?
Yeah, she's in there. I feel like when they're running laps and they see me running, they're like, "There's your husband. You remember that one time he didn't sign y'all up for that race? Yeah, don't let that go, girl. Don't let that go."
I believe that's called gaslighting.
Maybe.
That's, just fanning the flames.
Fanning that flame.
I don't need anyone doing that with Gabby.
No.
That is combustible flames.
That's
right
what I'm
there.
saying,
She could,
man. My wife, but people don't realize this, but just because of, her hair color has changed, but she's a redhead through and through. Her hair was a vibrant, red orange color, right? And and her personality matched.
Yeah.
Right? So, they say that redheads don't have a soul. They say that they're volatile, they're angsty. All of those things for the most part, are true. Thank God she's saved and the Lord provided her with a soul. But maybe that's why her hair color changed, because the Lord's been working on her.
The soul has
changed the color of her hair, right?
Well, that's a whole nother podcast. We'll have to do some research on that.
And just
really dive into, the redheads.
Yeah. So, but people don't, she's wiry.
Oh, I feel you. We could do a whole podcast on feisty wives.
For sure. But you know what? Some of us, you're so low key and like so chill or whatever. Here's what I see. Like my wife is, she's not like high strung or anything like that, but she ain't putting up with stuff.
Yeah.
And she will let you know if there's a problem. You know what I'm saying?
No, I'm just going to go to an example. I got scared.
When?
She, at the last workout we did here.
Yeah.
You put the music on.
Uh-huh.
And she comes in, and Prince Purple Rain was playing. While we're all just immediately looked at me. What is this music?
That's awesome.
I got scared.
Yeah.
I threw you on the bus.
Yeah.
That's James' phone.
Yeah.
And
It wasn't a playlist. It was just a station.
James put that on there. I literally just pointed. You were outside somewhere. I threw you under the bus, and
when I came in, I wondered who put gangster rap on. I can understand.
But she gave me like a look of like, she was trying to size me up whether I was telling the truth or not. And then I guess she walked over and saw your phone. But I was terrified. I'm not going to lie. I've seen that look before at home. So I was.
For sure.
James did it.
It was all James.
Yep.
I mean, when in doubt, just blame me, especially if it's my wife.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, she cracks me up sometimes because like she'll get all fired up. She'll get all like angsty, and then I'm not very good because I like egg it on, and I like to I push those buttons. So that's not a good husbandal trait at all. I know, but yeah, like you're so chill and laid back, like you and Tommy. So it's like I can't imagine like Gabby's fiery for sure, but I can't imagine ever going anywhere because you're so chill. You're just like, yeah, it'll be all right. It'll be cool.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I have my moments.
Yeah.
We definitely. Like any husband and wife, but for the most part, I'll take her off, and then she'll be so mad, and I'll be like, "Come here, baby, give me a kiss."
Oh my gosh, I feel like that's pressing a button right there.
That is. That is. Get away from me. Like, just give me one kiss.
Yeah. I'm trying to make up.
Yes, and finally she'll relent. But get away from me.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, that was my wife and I when we first were married. We had some kind of argument about something. I can't even tell you what the argument was. But then I was like following her around the house, and she was trying to get away from me, right? And I was just following her around, and I was like, I couldn't tell you what I was saying or what I was doing. She turned around and looked me dead in my face and called me a bad name. And I'd never heard her use bad language before in my life, right? We've been dating. We had dated for like 9 months, and then we've been together like a year and a half or something. I'd never heard her say one foul word, and she said it, and I was like, I was so shocked. I was like, oh my gosh, is that how it's going to be? So I made a statement or whatever, and she looked at me and we both started laughing. And I was like, okay, so we're not going to call each other names from here on out? She's like, yeah. So now she just runs away from me and shuts the door.
Okay.
Yeah. So now that way she's not forced to hold her tongue.
There you go.
Right. So now she just waits for 2 weeks and then tells me what's wrong.
That's
when I'm asleep at midnight. Does that happen to you ever? Like, hey babe, is there anything wrong? No. Are you sure? Because I've known you for 20 years. You seem like something's bothering you. No, I'm fine. Are you sure you're fine? Yeah, I'm fine. I'm good. And then 2 weeks later, you're dead asleep. So that's how she always starts it.
I'm trying to think. Sometimes, but for the most part, you don't have to guess with Gabby. She'll usually let me know right away. Yeah, either
she'll let you know that you suck and how hard it is that you're sucking.
Yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
immediately.
Yes. But then she loves me.
But she still loves you.
Yeah, she still loves me.
And that's the important thing, ladies.
Yes.
Let us know that you still love us, and that even though we suck sometimes, that doesn't end your love for us.
Peace and love.
Peace and love. All right, guys, that is it. We won't ramble on anymore. It's kind of hard. We don't have somebody directing us. Lauren's not here to keep us in line. So thanks for coming in, guys. If you have the ability to do so, please, you can check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/runningwithjames. Become a member and a supporter of the show. You can also check it out on YouTube, where we do videos, shoe reviews, tips, tricks, all that great stuff. Plus, you can also catch the podcast on there. So please subscribe, share it, like it, do all that great stuff. And remember, as always, if you can change your mind,
you can change your life.